What's going on, everybody? So today we got the 8th Gen Civic Si engine harness. Now we have two of them here. I'm gonna go over some of the details, the difference between both of them, but they will do the same purpose, as in give you a better overall harness. And the way it's gonna be routed, it's gonna be a little bit different than the OEM. These are slightly longer than OEM as well, but overall it's gonna give you that tuck picture that you're looking on your car. All the plugs are labeled, so it's very easy to put this in your car. Even though I'm gonna show you a step-by-step video here on my buddy's car, and some of the things that I need to cover on the harness, and that is gonna be that the injector plugs, they're only gonna come to OEM injector plugs. You can cut yours and put them on here, or they sell adapters online that you can plug them here to your OEM existing injector plug, and it'll convert it to whatever injector that you have. We don't want to supply them or make them for every injector. There's so many available. It is a difficult task to please everybody with that. So that is going to be one of the keys things right here that you need to understand, that if you do have an aftermarket injector, that these plugs will not work for your car, that you probably need to cut him. That's what we're going to do in his car here. We're going to cut him. We're going to solder him, specifically because I don't have the pins for his injectors here at the moment. But the difference between both of them is that we have a regular loom harness, and then we have here a one that's completely heat shrink. So now you may be wondering, what's the difference between both of them? The difference is literally this one is completely heat shrink, and it's more for race car. It's not going to get easily burned, unlike the one here with the loom. And this pretty much is like a sleeving, so it is easier to get cut and whatnot. So if you're gonna go with the race spec version of the harness, this is more durable, more easier on a race car, since you can see here everything, it is completely heat shrink, unlike the ones here that is all with the loom. So there's a price difference between both of them. They're gonna be listed there on the website, but do be aware of it. That is gonna be the big factor between both of them, that they both perform the same, but at the end of the day, if you're looking for something more race car and wanted to perform as in a level that you don't have to worry about the wires being cut or worrying about the heat, this is going to be the best choice to go for. But as well, again, both of them will work just fine. One of the features that we added to the engine harness, it is a already existing boost controller. Not a boost controller plug. So here you can see here, all you have to do is plug in your boost controller. If your own motor, that's fine. You can just leave this to the side. It's not going to be a problem, but it's already plugged in here into the ECU. You don't have to worry about cutting or anything like source. So all you have to do is plug that into your boost controller and you're ready to go. You don't have to worry about wiring anything. It is super simple. All right, one of the other things I do need to mention is, if you do have a K24 swap, okay, this harness are for K20. If you do have a K24 swap, you can just change the crank sensor to a K20 and you're gonna be fine. So again, if you have a K24, just get a K20 crank sensor and you're gonna be perfectly fine. You can rewire them. I'm not gonna go into details about that. I don't wanna get everybody confused of anything like that, but just make it simple. Get a K20 crank sensor and you're ready to go. There's a lot of DIYs online. There's a couple things that you have to swap some of the pins, and I don't want to go in full details about it just because I don't want to confuse anybody. Just easier if you just get a K20 crank sensor on his spec. My buddy's car here, we're going to show you here in a second. He has a K24. He originally blew that one up, and then he transferred everything from the K20 to the K24, and everything plugs right up. He has an OEM harness right now, but we're going to be swapping this over, and we're going to show you guys that the car works just fine. Making sure the harness work good. We already have tested them, but obviously we want to show you here in video. That way you guys can understand it. So again, both of the harness, they're going to be a price difference between both of them, and that's going to be your choice. Again, so they're 8 inches longer than OEM. So do be aware of it. It gives you a little bit easier way to route the engine harness. Unlike the OEM, it's very, very short. But we're gonna go ahead and install them on his car and show you pretty much step by step how to go about it. Okay. All right, here we go. So we have the harness. We're gonna be putting the one with the race spec. Pretty much is all heat shrink, and it is gonna be what we're looking for here for his car. Now his ECU is hidden here. We're gonna go in more details here in a second so you guys can understand. But this is his K24 swap supercharger on the HN. So we're gonna put in the harness, showing you guys that there's nothing to worry about, and it's super easy to get it to look as good as it does here already. So now he has his OEM harness in here. He has tried his best over the years to pretty much make it as good as this gets. There's nothing like beating a brand new harness built from scratch, so do be aware of it. We're not getting a OEM harness that's been pretty much taken apart and whatnot. This is all brand new wiring. This is all mil spec wire, so it's not that Walmart wire that you can probably go get. This is completely different. Okay, so anyways, we're gonna go ahead and throw it together and show you guys step by step. Finished taking off his OEM engine harness, so you guys can see here. Now we're gonna go ahead and cover step by step all the details and some of the stuff that you probably might run into, and we're gonna try to cover as best as we can, as in explaining everything to you guys. But here's a quick look. Now he has tried to clean it up, you know, as best as you can. You can only do so much with the OEM harness, and honestly his car looked great as it did, but obviously it can always be done better. And one thing that right now the harness we're doing, they're 8 inches longer than the factory one. So you can see here it's laid out, and this is right here at the breakup. So you can see here how it separates into two, and you can see here how much longer it is than the OEM. And the reason we've done that is so you can route it a little bit nicer. You guys gonna see how it's gonna look on the car. And so yeah, we're gonna go ahead and start putting it on the car, show you guys pretty much some of the things that we might run into, that you will run into, so you guys can you know, pay attention from what we're doing, and you guys don't have 1,000 questions when installing this. So one of the things is that the new engine harness, it will delete your OEM charge harness. So one of the things is, when you do separate your OEM one, because you have to, is you have to separate it for your starter signal. And you guys can see here how that looks. I'm gonna try to pin it out. All right, you guys can see my finger there. Okay, that one on your OEM one, you have to take it apart, and that's gonna be for your your starter signal, and that goes here. You guys can see it. Follow it, and that'll plug in back to your there's a plug there, and it goes into your fuse box, and that's when you turn the key on. It tells the starter to crank over. That's one of the things right now that you're gonna have to take apart. Again, it's gonna be your OEM charge harness. That's the only plug that you're gonna need, because the new engine harness, we're not gonna be using any of this stuff. Okay, one of the things that might happen to you if you have the K24 swap, it's only for the K24 swap, it's gonna be the crank sensor plug. You can see here they're different. If you have the K20, it will just plug right in. If you have the K24, you are gonna have to swap it out, or you can just go ahead and plug in your K20 knock sensor, because that's what the harness is designed for. It's, like I said, it's difficult to please everybody. I have this, I have that. It is a lot cheaper to make a harness already like this than, you know, doing them by order, and it's just a difficult to keep them in stock, because there's so many different ways that you can be done with this. So it's easier and it's faster if you already can just make the changes yourself, or you can just change the plug yourself, like for the crank sensor and the one for the knock sensor. So we're gonna go ahead and throw it in the car, and I'll show you guys how it's gonna be looking. You ready?
Let's do this.
Yeah, he's sweating, man. Putting work right here for y'all. So let's get it. All right, here we go, guys. So we're gonna go ahead and show you some of the things that you might run into that's very commonly done. Actually, let me turn off this fan. It is hot. It is Florida time, and it's getting brutal out here. So very simple thing. Even myself back in the day, between the intakes, both of the sensors plugs are the same, and it's very easy to put in backwards. And believe me, I've done it myself, especially when it's not labeled. You can see here we got the ones for the front, and we got the one for the back. Pretty much the simple way, and I tell everybody, look for the blue wire. Okay, and then the other ones in the back are back here, and that's going to tell you which one is what. But obviously here on the OEM one, that's what I tell everybody. But here we have them already labeled for you guys, so you guys can't get them confused here. But so you know, this plug can plug back here and vice versa. And that's one of the most common issues that people run into. It is making that simple mistake, because again, they both reach either or. I hate that Honda did that. They should have done a simple, you know, one plug doesn't fit the other one, and that creates a lot of the issues with a lot of the new guys. So very simple. You can see here how the engine harness is routed this way, and you cannot get that messed up. Each plug is labeled, so you can see here. Let me see. We got C4, C3, C2, C1, which is cylinder 1, cylinder 2, 3, and 4. Very simple. And then here we have our H2O, and that plugs right in. See if it'll focus. You guys can see it there. Okay, and that plugs right into there. So we're gonna walk you, or move you here down this way, and you can see here everything plugs in as it should. And same here. Okay, and then the one at the bottom is gonna be for the crank sensor. Let me see if I can. I don't think I'm able to get a video over here. See if I can zoom in. There, you can see it there, back there. Okay, on the K24, it is gonna be a little bit tight. You gotta remember, these engines are about an inch taller, and the harness were done for K20. They work just fine, but just gotta know you gotta pull it down just a little bit. I don't want to hear about it. They're saying it's too short. I'm letting you know it is tiny little bit too short, and we don't mind to make them too short or too long. It is a good length because obviously it reaches here. So this is how it's looking now. We have the engine harness routed. It's difficult to see because it's, you can see, comes this way, and obviously if we had the stock ECU here over here, it will fit perfectly here on this side. But obviously he has it over here, and then we're going to show you that more here in a second. Okay, so we're moving forward. We already have our map sensor plugged in, and simple, it's labeled. Can't make that any easier. We have our map sensor plugged in. Can't make that any easier. It's labeled. Come on, guys. And then we got our reverse lockout. Again, label. Check this out. Let me see here. Reverse. Okay, so that one plugs in right there. And then we got our VSS. Okay, and this one reads your mile an hour on your dash. Okay, boom, simple. Let's get it. So that will plug in just like so. Mind this, I'm doing this one hand. All right, oh, I lost it. So, and there you go. So check it out. So do move everything out of the way, out of the mech over here. Remember, the shifter's gonna be moving left to right. All right, so here we have our injectors. Now, like I said, we're gonna be swapping the pins here for his. So that's gonna be one of the things that we're gonna be doing right now. And same thing for his crank sensor. So you can see here, this is gonna be the last little wires that we have here. So we have the knock sensor, we have the AC compressor, which goes right there, okay? And then we have our alternator. Everything's labeled, guys. Can't make this any easier for you guys. So we're gonna go ahead and plug that in, swap out the injectors, and we're gonna go ahead and turn the car on. And one thing I forgot to mention is the ground. Don't forget to put it. So you can see here where he ended up putting it, right in the middle. Okay, let's just check it out. All right, so everything's labeled. We're just going over it, making sure you guys see how everything is put on the car. So we're gonna go ahead and swap the injectors, swap the knock sensor, and that is gonna be it. All right, guys, so we ended up swapping all the plugs over. Right now, all we gotta do is the injectors, but we're gonna do a quick start. This actually is gonna be the first one to give you guys a quick, hold on, don't crack it yet. Go over you guys so you guys can see it. So go ahead and give it a shot. There you go. So all we gotta do is finish swapping the injectors, and then we're pretty much ready to go there. Give you guys a quick look. Now you smell that E85. Heavy. All right, guys, so there it is. You guys see it. got the engine on, we got the engine harness on the car. Again, one of the things to look for is make sure you put these things on the right spot. I already went over that. Not much to cover it. Very simple install. Everything is labeled. It's very hard to mess it up, but do take your time with it. Like I said, one of the things is to keep an eye out for the knock sensor and the crank sensor. It's going to be one of the biggest ones because a lot of people do the K24 swap on the HN. I suggest, like I said in the beginning, just swap out the sensor. It's going to make things a lot easier. And then with the injectors, depending on the ones that you have here specifically, I didn't have pins for his injector, so we ended up just cutting it. And then I heat shrinked everything. I did everything right for him, so it's nothing to worry about. You guys hear and see the car. It is on. So again, and then he has his ECU up there. You guys can see it. So we routed the harness underneath, went up, and then he has it underneath bolted up. And you can see here how it fits. Obviously, if he had it here in the stock location, we would have ran the wires back down this way and here to the ECU spot. So AC kicked on. I heard it. Oh, I hear it. Oh, I can hear it. Yep. Oh yeah, let them. Hold on, we gotta record that for Instagram.